Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to this session this afternoon, which is on new opportunities. If I could first of all introduce myself, my name is Tim Moscovich. I'm Professor of Design and Head of the Department of Design at the University of Huddersfield in England. Huddersfield, those of you that don't know where it is between Manchester and Leeds. The session that we have this afternoon is, I think, going to be quite intriguing, very interesting, and ties up very nicely with one of the key issues that the first plenary speaker emphasised this morning, which was to do with the customer and people. And I think you'll find that there's some interesting connections across all of the four presentations this afternoon about capitalising upon people. Capitalising upon them either in the workplace because of the added value that they bring to the workplace and their contribution to production, and then at the receiving end, at the consuming end. As we all know, the consumer-driven society that we find ourselves in, we're having to focus more and more and more and work far more closely with and understand the requirements of the user, the consumer. And I think you'll find that the range of talks that we have this afternoon you will find, I'm sure, be stimulating around this topic of people. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first speaker. I have in fact asked the speakers to just say a few words about themselves. It's with great delight that I introduce Jimmy Lamb, who interestingly used to be one of the research students at the university that I'm still at, in fact. It's a long time since I've seen him. Jimmy is from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and this paper he's speaking on behalf of himself and two other colleagues, Ron Postle and Philip Yeung, from the people from Hong Kong Polytechnic University and also the University of New South Wales in Australia.
Thank you, Chairman. Actually, it's my great pleasure to come here and give my presentation and my work on the supply chain management Hong Kong experience. Actually, I'm a lecturer in the Hong Kong Polytechnic Universities, and before I joined the university, I was a consultant in Hong Kong Productivity Council, where I do the consultancy and also training for Hong Kong as well. So today, I like to share some of my experience about Hong Kong, especially in view of supply chain management. Actually, the last two days, we had a number of speakers. They give us the issue on the SCM and all, and how we can use the supply chain management to increase the profit and reduce the wastage. So something I like to share with you, especially in view of Hong Kong. Right now, Hong Kong is changing. We are actually more on sourcing and servicing instead of manufacturing. And those manufacturing industry, they are really globally. I mean, the fashion industry, they make the production plants, say in Thailand, in Bangkok, in China, Bangladesh. How can you manage that? What are the crucial issues we can use to increase the competitiveness in Hong Kong? So that's something I'd like to share with you. So first is a big introduction about Hong Kong, in particular the textile industry for the last few years. That's a big change. And second, people talk about supply chain management, what they are, what are the different with, say, process re-engineering, just in time, quick response, why supply chain, and what kind of framework we can use. So I use two frameworks and the definition of the SCM. After this, I look at Hong Kong, they are well-known factory in Hong Kong, and how they use this concept to increase their competitiveness. So we have one is a woven shirt manufacturer, and the other is a sweater. So they both have the same problem, or what we call distributed production. And also because both of them is an export market to USA, so we have a quota restriction as well. So that means the country of origin, you cannot say just to push on a lower production country, you need to produce in Hong Kong. So the material shipped here and for. Actually, you are really increase the time for production. And how do they do that? And they are still so successful. So finally, it's a conclusion. So that is the flavor for my today's presentation. So let's look at a little bit background about Hong Kong. Textile industry is still the largest industry in Hong Kong, which have over 3,000 people and over 30,000 industry in Hong Kong. But there's a change. And the global market is so competitive, therefore most production plant in Hong Kong can move outside to mainland China. So actually the role of Hong Kong is Actually the role of Hong Kong is sourcing, quality assurances, and product development. And there are two research on Hong Kong recently. One is they are saying we are changing, just like the education is changing. We are changing from manufacturing to survey industry, and the people in Hong Kong, they have to be more technical, knowledge-based as well. And also in 1995, report from MIT and also KSA, they say that the industry got to be changed, got to be the knowledge leader in the region, and also apply the new technology for the industry. So this is the background about the Hong Kong for the last 5 years. So the research worked. So now I'd like to use the two methodology actually. One is a cycle wheel of supply chain, another is a push wheel of supply chain, and see how they use in Hong Kong to improve the supply chain management. And these two companies, they have the production plant in China, Indonesia, Thailand, India, and Bangladesh. They all have a problem is they face with the problem of demand uncertainty because far away from USA, and also short product life cycle and complex coordinate and production process because they are far away. So that is the problem they are facing today. So before we start anything, let's see what actually is supply chain management. And actually, I mean, if you go through the literature, we have the production engineering, operational research. And then secondly, for the last 5 years, the people talking about supply chain and supply chain management. Actually, the reason is because the last 5 years, the IT technology, they are improving, so we can do the integration and coordination. So let's look at the definition. So there are two definitions of supply chain. The first one is supply chain is every effort involved in producing and deliver final product or service from supplier to customer. So we are not looking just one individual. Actually, we are looking extended enterprise. Therefore, the second definition is actually supply chain management in who manage supply and demand, sourcing raw material and parts, manufacturing, assembly, warehousing, inventory tracking, order entry, management, distribution. Actually, this is exactly the job we are working in Hong Kong, sourcing raw material, production, assembly, and then deliver to USA. So that definition actually is talking about Hong Kong, the people we are working every day, not just in Hong Kong, in China, Bangladesh, all the complex coordination problems. Wow, let's look at the framework here. Say we have the supplier, manufacturer, distributor, retail, customer. Now, before we have the SCM concept, say we only focus on the manufacturer or supplier. We only want to reduce the cost or increase the profit. So we are focused just on one individual. That is not true today because in order to make profit, actually, only the last day, the customer, they buy it, and then you can make the profit. Otherwise, you are shifting the cost either upward to the supplier or downward to the distributor. So, all right, is that right? Just like that. Thank you. Okay. Is that right? Okay. So, what you really need to do is you can only generate the profit from the last customer. Otherwise, you are shifting the cost either upward to the supplier or downward to the distributor. So the supply chain management actually is to optimize the profit of the whole supply chain, not just individual one. Otherwise, the cost is still moving up and down. So that is a very important concept, what we call the virtual or extended enterprise. So So there are two strategies I'm going to talk about in this afternoon. So since supply chain is a sequence of process and flow taking within and between different supply chain stages and combined to fill a customer need for a product. So there's an author Chopper, he suggests two different ways to analyze supply chain performance. And this is the way I'm going to use today. One is called cycle view or supply chain process. The second one is push or pull view or supply chain process. What are they? Actually, when you go through a lot of paper, they never tell you or they very little say about the implementation. Actually, if you look at the article for the last 5 years, people spend a lot of money in IT or technology management concept trying to improve supply chain management, but more of them fail because they never recognize the strategic planning for supply chain. So that's the thing I'd like to point out today. The first one, cycle view of supply chain. You see here, we divide the supply chain into 4 cycles, say from the customer to retailer, this is the customer order cycle, or from the retailer to distributor, this is a replenishment cycle, and the distributor to manufacturing cycle, and so on. So this is the first step, look at the supply chain using cycle view. So cycle view break the supply chain process into a series of cycles, each performed at the interface between two successive supply chains. So what are the advantages of this kind of cycle view? The advantage of the cycle view is clarity and it defines clearly the process involved and the owner of each process. You see, they define the owner of each process. So it's really good for operational decision, because it specifies the role and responsibility of each member in the supply chain and decide the outcome of each process. So when we want to design or implement the supply chain, using this cycle where you know your role and in between each process, so each member, they have something to focus instead of we are talking supply chain and then at the end of the day, we don't know actually what it is all about. So that is the first process view. The second one, push or pull view. You see on that front, the push process is the customer have an order for you. Once you got the order, you do everything to push it. The second one is a push process, which is a replenishment, manufacturing, and procurement process. What is this all about? That push and pull will divide the supply chain from the strategic decision. Number one, depending on the time of execution related to customer demand, supply chain can be pushed into push and pull process. In a push process, execution is initiated in response to customer order. Demand is known with certainty. That is what we want to have. Because before I come here, I talk with the audience. The most difficult for textile and garment is you are not sure which one can sell, which one cannot sell. So the best way is, if I know the demand exactly, I use a supply chain what I call flexible or responsive supply chain to fulfill the market. The other one is in a push process, they are executed in anticipation of customer order. Demand is not known and must be focused. Note the second stage is, we produce a product, we are not sure about the demand, but we want to stimulate the demand, we push it out. So this is another strategy they are using. So these two are the framework, and now I'm going to explain to you, using 2 case studies in Hong Kong, how they use these 2 strategies to improve their supply chain efficiency and responsiveness. Okay, so I got to do these pictures. So based on these 2 theories, and now we use 2 case studies in Hong Kong to see how they work with the supply chain issues. So the first one is a woven shirt producer. The second one is a knitwear manufacturer. So both are export to US market with quota restriction, short product life cycle, complex coordinate and production process in Asian countries. So the first one, this is a ready-made woven shirt manufacturer. Look at this one. The quantity per year they produce 2.5 million dozen shirts to USA and 1 million dozen outerwear to USA. So it's a huge production. And the production plant in Bangladesh, China, Indonesia. And the customer is JC Penney. Okay, so it's a very big market for that one. Okay, so the first one they use is a traditional operation using efficiency supply chain. That is, they focus on cost minimization. How they do it? They use advanced IT CAD/CAM technology. On the other hand, they have another program called SPEED program, which is a responsive supply chain, just to focus on very quick order. This one, they are focused on time to market. The first one, they are focused to minimization, cost minimization. So there are two strategies. If I look at the cycle wheel, this is a manufacturer between the retailer and manufacturer. The normal production cycle is 16 days, okay? It's quite long, okay? And also because it's shipped to USA, they use a OPA, offshore production strategy. That is to say, the garment, some parts are shipped to China in order to minimize the cost. Some parts are shipped back to Hong Kong because of quota restriction. Okay, so this kind of quota restriction in the US, they make the supply chain very complicated, take longer time to complete the operation, and cost more. That is the regulation we must follow in Hong Kong. However, how they account that? The company X take advantage of OPA to operate OPA operation to reduce the supply chain costs and to keep the supply chain efficiency and responsive how? By applying advanced planning technology and streamline operation by using IT. Okay? Also, to reduce the uncertainty for the fabric suppliers, they form partnership with their key fabric supplier. Okay, if I use a push and pull wheel, how's it like? The company always want to reduce the demand uncertainty. That is, they want to know the demand exactly and then responses. So they use what we call the VMI program. So the JC panel every week, they send their palm or sell data back to Hong Kong. And that company exactly know about their demand every week. And they're using the SPEED program or DHL to fulfill the demand every for them. That is a very good. Actually, JC panel today, they can reduce their inventory. It's not because the vendor, the manufacturer keep track of inventory for them. So using this one, actually they cut the inventory from 14 days to 7 days. So this is a SPEED program. They're using the DHL or Federal Express to deliver the garment right to the customer in USA. So they have another strategy. So this is highly responsive supply chain strategy. Okay, the second one is a sweater manufacturer. It's a small size sweater manufacturer. They have production in Bangladesh and Hong Kong. Well, this one, they keep their production whenever is highly flexible one in Hong Kong, where when you reach, well, I have to skip this part, okay. Okay, let's say the last row of that one, the company Y. Whenever you have a very high fashion article, so they produce in Hong Kong using technology like Simasaki, so they can design and produce in few hours for them. When you have very basic item, say cardigan, internal, they produce in Bangladesh, so they can have very efficiency supply chain, which they minimize the cost. When you have a very high fashion item, they produce in Hong Kong because it's faster, they use the technology, so they can have highly responsive supply chain. So that is the strategy they are using in Hong Kong. Okay, I just skip that part. So the conclusion. The two case studies show how local textile company using different supply chain strategies to fulfill its customer demand, to maximize supply chain performance and minimize its production costs. I'm using two case studies as an example. The methodology of the cycle wheel in supply chain is very useful for operational strategy. See, in Hong Kong, most production plants are operational. So that one let you focus about your role in the supply chain. The second one is on strategic decision making. When you have a quick order or fashion item, how you use the push wheel to make your supply chain more responses. So that is something I'd like to share with you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Whilst the next speaker is just preparing his presentation, are there any questions?
Lam,
Yes, please.
in your supply chain,
Microphone.
my voice is audible. In your supply chain model, you haven't mentioned anything on outsourcing. In developed economies, which Hong Kong fit in well, the apparel manufacturers do have some kind of outsourcing as far as downside processing is concerned. You have not thought anything on those lines at all.
Thank you. Very good question. Thank you very much. About outsourcing. Actually, the two companies I interviewed with them, they say that in order to have highly responsive supply chain management, they don't do outsourcing. Because number one, the quality issue, number two, the responsive issue. So, you are right, for other one, outsourcing is a very critical factor to reduce the cost. But the two case studies I used, and actually these two companies in Hong Kong, they're the best one in terms of volume and sales figure. And I interviewed their executive, they say they don't do outsourcing because they have to control the quality, they have to control the time to the market. So all the company is their own, they own their own companies, not outsourcing. Outsourcing is a very important issue, but I'm not stressed in this report. Thank you very much.
No more questions? In which case, if we can move on to...